Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Micah. This is Winston. You guys are rocking with us on Micah's Intellectual Corner. And no, do not try to adjust your screen. That's right, I am rocking the Tom Selleck, or the Burt Reynolds, if you want to say. Just a slightly better looking one. That's all I'm gonna say. But in any case, so yes, I just wanted to see how big and I guess thick and legendary I can make my mustache look. I guess I can say I have to have a little bit of growing to do though, make it a little bit longer. But in any case, so today's history reaction, we're going to be reacting to the Unkillable Soldier. This is from Sabaton History. This is the first video that I'm reacting to of theirs. Without further ado though, I am very excited, so let's just go ahead and get started.
I'm from Sabaton.
And I'm Carton de Viart.
And he is the Unkillable Soldier.
Adrian Paul Gichlan Carton de Viart was born in 1880 in Brussels, Belgium, to a family with substantial connections. One cousin was a former prime minister, the other a political secretary to the king. It was even rumored that de Viart was an illegitimate son of Leopold II. His father, who practiced international law in Egypt.
That would be actually really interesting if he was the son of Leopold II. If you guys don't know about Leopold II, pretty much he was the king of Belgium back during the the Mad Dash for Africa and stuff like that. And he was the one who pretty much he got signed over I guess the rights to invade the Congo, or the huge area, or that was the kingdom of the Congo and all that stuff. And if you guys don't know, it was really easy for the Belgians to get in there too, because of that huge river that's right there. They just literally used that, and then just from there just sprawled out throughout the entire country. That's how they were able to do that. But if you guys don't know about King Leopold, though, he was really, like, he did some pretty horrible stuff. Like, if I'm not mistaken, he had all the indigenous population go and mine all the diamonds and stuff, just for him, though, not for Belgium, for himself. And if they wouldn't come up on their daily quota, he would either have their hands chopped off or their child's hand chopped off. Like, you know what I'm saying? It's just barbaric type of stuff. But anyway, so if he was his son, it's definitely something I would not be proud of. But that's just me, though. Let's keep going.
National law in Egypt hoped that his son would follow in his footsteps, but de Viart had different plans. After he failed his law preliminaries at Oxford, he chose to enlist, to live life rough and tough and full of bitter experiences. And he didn't really care for what he fought, or even for whom. In his romanticized vision of the war, he considered serving the British Empire, or perhaps serving in the French Foreign Legion, or even fighting for the Boers against the British in South Africa. This ambivalence was caused by his rather youthful ignorance when it came to world politics. I know that the ideal soldier is the man who fights for his country because it is fighting, and for no other reason. Causes, politics, and ideologies are better left to the historians. Well,
in all reality, too, in his defense, he was probably thinking to himself, just like every other soldier at that time and every other person at that time, that war is an adventure, and that it's something that is just so brings so much honor and stuff to you, that you're defending your country, your homeland, and all that stuff. But in reality, the war that he's about to go into is, what I'm saying, kind of, there's a lot of pride that goes into that war, if you ask me. But without that, that's the only thing that is the same. Like, everything else is different. So obviously he sees that. But let's keep going.
He first fought with the British against the Boers in South Africa, as it turned out. Because he was still underage and a foreigner, de Viart enlisted with a fake identity. The British recruiter didn't look twice and assigned him to a yeomanry regiment. Arriving in South Africa, de Viart got a first glimpse of what modern war was actually like. A group of entrenched enemy behind offensive barbed wire proved almost impossible to dislodge. De Viart volunteered to dash forward to remove said wire, and his more level-headed colonel denied the request, called him a fool, and most likely saved his life. Broodingly, de Viart conceded, "War was still eluding me. and my vivid imaginings of charging Boers single-handedly and dying gloriously with a couple of posthumous VCs were becoming a little hazy. His
Yeah, and in reality too, if you talk to any veteran or anything that's actually been to war and stuff like that, that didn't just stay stateside and all that, or stay in their home country or anything, because you can ask this of any veteran, it doesn't matter what country, but they usually won't want to talk about what happened, you know what I'm saying, unless they're never going to just bring up like randomly what happened or anything like that. Like, you really have to pry it out of them. And it's like, for that fact, it's a lot of older veterans or a lot of older people who are in the military, like, they look at like younger soldiers like they're kind of idiots. Like that one story with Napoleon and that one really eager soldier who was in the ranks, and he was so eager. He was like, I'm ready. He's pretty much volunteering to hurry up and go and face the military or the Austrians. And Napoleon pretty much told him, if you can tell you've never been to a battle, because nobody else is doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you get past that initial stuff, it's it's hard to see dead bodies and have to get shot at and blown, and worry about getting blown up on a daily basis. Like, that does something to your psyche, that it's not a fun time anymore.
wish to die in battle was nearly answered when he received a bad stomach wound and a bullet straight through the groin. De Wiart respectfully admitted that the Boers were indeed very good shots. He would survive, but his identity was revealed, which got him sent back to England. Although his peers at Oxford celebrated him as something of a hero, Carleton thought that it was not possible for anyone to have had a duller dose of war, and I returned bereft of glory. With that strong desire to experience the excitement of war, De Wiart decided to continue his adventures with the British Army. On July 23, 1914, he boarded a ship bound to fight the rebels in British Somaliland just a few days before Europe exploded into the Great War. The irony was not lost on him. It seems extraordinary to think of my utter ignorance of world affairs, but at that, even then pregnant moment, I fondly imagined I should be one of the few people to see a shot fired in anger, and I could hardly believe my ears when at Brindisi or Malta we heard that Germany and Russia were at war, and my cup of misery overflowed when on arrival at Aden I learned that England also had declared war on Germany. Stuck in a sideshow to the great conflict, his war was now against the Mad Mullah, Mohammed Abdullah Hassan, who challenged British rule with the support of his dervishes. De Wiart fought together with Indian and Somali troops to quell the rebellion. In November 1914, by a well-fortified blockhouse, De Wiart and the Somalis advanced as far as they could, close enough that he could touch the dervishes' rifles in the loopholes with his walking stick. Trying to get another glimpse of the defenses, De Wiart was hit, and a splinter buried itself in his eye. A few moments later, another bullet exploded, hitting the same eye. Although he was basically blind with pain at this point, he refused surgery, knowing that that was his one chance to get back to Europe. Eye or no eye. His plan worked. He was sent back to England, and on January 3rd, 1915, his eye was removed. De Wiart's request to fight in Flanders in the Great War was easily granted, as everyone was in dire need of experienced officers by then. The only problem was his wound. British High Command did not wish the Germans to think that we were reduced to sending out one-eyed officers. After agreeing to wear a glass eye, he got his papers signed, but then tossed the startling, excessively uncomfortable glass eye out of the window of his taxi and replaced it with a black eye patch, which soon became his signature. De Wiart found that fighting in Somaliland was nothing compared to this war. Curious more than anything, he made his way to the front line as the shelling increased. I was standing next to my second-in-command, wondering what to do, when he said, "I wish you'd duck when those shells come." I was on the point of telling him that I was a fatalist and believed in the appointed hour when we heard...
So pretty much, if I could be wrong, but if interpreted that right. Pretty much, he kind of seemed, or he kind of thinks exactly kind of how I do, pretty much when it comes to, or when it came to going out and do deployments and stuff, where if it's my time to go, it's my time to go. So there's no point in being scared. There's no point in being a coward, because it's not going to do anything for you. It's just going to make you look like a shitty person and a shitty leader in front of all your men. If it's your time to go, then it's your time to go, and it's been your time to go. Like your date to go has been marked, your date to go, since the dawn of time, since dinosaurs been walked. So it doesn't matter what you do. Just live your life, or if you're at war, go to war, fight your heart out, and you can be able to come back.
Another shell coming, and he ducked. The shell burst quite near us, and I was thrown some distance. I picked myself up and started to move my men when I noticed a hand on the ground. The hand was encased in a special kind of leather glove, which I recognized instantly as that worn by my second in command. His body was 30 or 40 yards away. De Wiart continued along the bombed-out Menin road, but when they passed some dead Germans, he thought something was off. There had been no reports of the enemy breaking through in the region, but before he could finish the thought, the silence was broken by a torrent of German fire. De Wiart found himself flat on the ground in a pool of blood. His hand was a damaged, gory mess. He got up and ran like hell through the storm of bullets back to the lines. My hand was a ghastly sight. 2 of the fingers hanging by a bit of skin. All of the palm was shot away, and most of the wrist. For the first time, and certainly the last, I had been wearing a wristwatch, and it had been blown into the remains of my wrist. I asked the doctor to take my fingers off. He refused, so I pulled them off myself and felt absolutely no pain in doing it. By December 1915, De Wiart was sick of surgeons trying to save his hand and had it cut off. After his health returned, he was back to the war. With one eye and one hand, he attached himself to the...
It really is insane, though, thinking about, like, obviously his higher-ups and stuff like that, letting him actually come back and go to war, and especially this type of war. And especially when, obviously he might, injure it again, or might get an infection or anything like that. But, yeah, because in today's military, and I'm sure this is anywhere you go, unless, they're in, dire straits or whatever have you. But in any military you go to, though, once anything small like that happens, especially to your eyesight, or like those are your big ones, your eyesight, your hearing, or anything like that, like you're done. Like you're pretty much like almost kicked out of the army at that point. So it's kind of crazy to think that even after his hand getting blown off and everything else, like they're still like, all right, let's go. You got more to do. Or obviously I'm sure that they were like, you sure you want to do this? But it's the fact that they let him, it's kind of funny to me.
The infantry. Fighting in the trenches made De Wiart realize just how important the role model of the well-behaved and disciplined officer truly was. His own deeds could make or break morale within a regiment, even if it meant exposing himself to great danger. An invisible commander was not a source of inspiration. At the same time, however, it made De Wiart a pitiless and unforgiving man who valued duty over personal fears. I was looking around our trenches when I saw a man who was certainly not going forward. I asked him the reason for his dawdling, and he replied that he had been wounded 3 or 4 times already and simply couldn't face it. I told him I had been hit oftener than he had, but still had to face it, and to give a little point to my argument, I gave him a push in the right direction, and on he went. I never carried a revolver, being afraid that if I lost my temper, I might use it against my own people, so my only weapon was a walking stick. At the Battle of the Somme, De Wiart was to attack La Boisselle, one of the strongest German-held positions. On the morning of July 3rd, 1916, he led his men. As De Wiart described it, dead everywhere, not a house standing, flattened as if the very soul had been blasted out of the earth and turned into a void. By nightfall, nearly all of De Wiart's accompanying officers were either dead or wounded, and he found himself in a most unhealthy spot and a magnet for shells of every side. He was suddenly knocked to the ground. Bleeding profusely, he checked his body and found that the whole back of his head had been blown off by a machine gun bullet. Luckily, it had missed all vital parts, but once more he was brought to the dressing station.
Yeah, for me, it's just, I don't know. He's pretty crazy to think about. But I mean, it's just, I don't know. Just you gotta think about all the adrenaline that must have been pumping through his freaking body just for it to not bother him whatsoever. Because I mean, I just don't. I don't know. It just the things that he was doing to his own body is just insane to think about. You know.
After 3 weeks in the hospital and receiving the Victoria Cross for his actions, he was once more back at the front. During the battles of Arras and Passchendaele in 1917, de Wiart could see how the British Army had progressed. Now it was their artillery that dominated the battlefields, and shells were available in abundance. But that did not mean he was out of danger. Once more, de Wiart found himself caught in a German barrage. His clothes blown into his hip by an exploding shell, the wound went septic. Yet, de Wiart pulled through. By now, not only his doctors, but also the general staff urged him not to return to the front lines. Only de Wiart's personal appeal to General Hubert Goff got him back to the front, just in time for the German spring offensives of 1918. The Kaiserschlacht badly mauled the British, but the front held. Thanks to de Wiart's magnetic personality, he found himself once more in the middle of heavy fighting, when a large piece of shrapnel buried itself in his hip, very nearly costing him his leg. Returning to hospital for surgery, de Wiart found out that his fame as the unkillable soldier had spread. I was lying on a stretcher feeling extremely bad-tempered and disgusted with my last brief stay in France, when a well-meaning clergyman came up to see me. Seeing the disgruntled expression on my face and my one eye, he told me to cheer up, as it might have been much worse. He said he had such a cheerful fellow through his hands a few months earlier, a man who had lost both an eye and an arm. I asked him the man's name, and he said, General Carton de Wiart, and seemed quite hurt when I lost interest in the conversation. And once more, de Wiart returned to the war in October, but this time only to witness its conclusion. The armistice brought a momentary thrill of victory which soon faded. I think only the civilians get any real joy out of the end of a war and the release from the strain of eternal waiting. Frankly, I had enjoyed the war.
Yeah, as insane as it sounds, a lot of people, a lot of veterans will always, you can ask a lot of them will tell you like the most peace that they ever felt ever was most likely when they were deployed, because not only do you get yourself in a really like kind of cozy routine. I mean, sometimes that routine gets blown to bits real quickly and easily, but for the most part though, unless you're on a really crazy deployment, you find yourself getting into a routine. Like pretty much you wake up, you go to the gym, you take a shower, you might hang out with your friends, or you might watch a movie or something, and you go eat, work out again, work, so that's on your off days. On your work days, obviously, I don't know for a lot of people, but for me, I work 24 hours on, 24 hours off on my deployment. So but anyway, a lot of people though always say, they really see themselves going back, and because it's just such a kind of a, as messed up as it seems, kind of a peaceful moment in life. But yeah.
With the war ending and the men going home, de Wiart wondered what peace would have to offer him. But the adventures of Carton de Wiart were far from over. Oh, not yet. After the armistice, he was part of the British mission to Poland, soon at war with Bolshevik Russia. In Poland, he would also see the beginning of the Second World War, where he fought in Norway and Yugoslavia, was POW in Italy, later sent to China, and all of that you can look up for yourselves. Today was simply the great war story of the unkillable soldier, Carton de Wiart. Okay, we're not going to talk about the history behind the man now. We're going to talk about the video, right?
Yes.
They've just seen bits of it. It's me in a video with you for the second time.
Yes.
Okay, talk about the video.
The video is a great video. You should watch now. Bye-bye.
No, we went down to Belgrade, just outside of Belgrade, last summer of 2021, to shoot the video.
Warm.
And you notice I'm wearing a wool uniform, and it was 38 degrees Celsius outside, which is 100 Fahrenheit.
In the shade, and we were recording in the sun.
Yeah, but to be fair, the director was very cool about if you were outside for more than 10 minutes, he'd like make me go off set and go inside so I didn't die, so I could do other things. Now, one thing I really, really, really like, okay, the second best thing about the video, the third best is that I'm in it. The second best thing is that you guys are the Germans.
Yes.
Which to many people is the bad guys, although, as we know from watching our other episodes, in the First World War, there were no good guys and bad guys. They were just political and
Yeah, because I mean, obviously, in to my opinion, it's weird that we put all the blame on freaking Germany anyway, when obviously Germany wasn't the cause of it. I mean, you know what I'm saying, Archduke Ferdinand wasn't, you know what I'm saying, from the German Empire, he was from the Austrian Empire. But in any case, so, I don't know, I never, you know, signed on to that. But obviously, I think it was easier to give them that moniker of evilness because of the World War II, because, I mean, that was just, you know what I'm saying, it's kind of hard to bounce back from that. But, in any case, so yeah, let's see.
Ideological enemies. It wasn't like, I mean, the Second World War, you couldn't make up a better bad guy than Hitler. You couldn't create better.
It's
First
easy
World
as well.
War
It's
is-
very black and white.
Yeah, well,
Not to mention, they always play the Germans in most of their. I haven't seen all of their freaking videos, but in all the ones that I've seen, they always play the Germans. So I mean, makes sense.
I mean, sure, there were plenty of Allied atrocities in the Second World War. It is a world war involving hundreds of millions of people. First World War was a bit different. So you guys are the Germans, which, of course, Americans be watching would say you're the bad guys. But the best thing about the video is Tommy's mustache.
Yes. Oh.
In fact, I want to have a band called Tommy's Mustache. So,
That's another reason why I grew it. You know what I'm saying? I got to rival somebody.
do you remember when Tommy was asking for the mustache? Do you remember the day, what was going on there? 'Cause this is me interviewing you. You're supposed to be talking.
Okay, sorry. No, I don't remember exactly. But I remember we had to change the mustache.
Well,
video.
because you know, I got the mustache to be Carton de Viart and the fake eye. Good thing he didn't ask for a shot of eye. And Tommy's like, he said to the director, "Can I have a mustache?" And the director's like, no, can't have a mustache. And Tommy's, "No, I'm in the band. I want a mustache. I want a mustache." And Tommy, he looks like a really mean 40-year-old German father whose daughter.
Yeah, like wait a minute. This is my video. Hold on now. This is my channel and my video. Why can't I have a mustache? Yeah, I understand. Trust me.
You're going out with in that mustache. Can we get a shot of Tommy and the mustache from the video right here? Now, you do remember, they did want you to wear the Stahlhelm. They wanted you guys to wear the German helmets. And what'd you say?
Fuck no.
And why did you say that?
Because they look ridiculous on us.
Yeah.
Basically.
I mean, you know.
We didn't want to look like shit. And they talked about where we were in the timeline of the video. And at a certain point, we thought, there are quite a few other historical inaccuracies in this
But
script.
Stahlhelm would have been okay. Stahlhelm, because
Yeah.
I'm the historian. Stahlhelms were.
I know they would have been okay, but they wanted us to have them for the historical accuracy.
Oh,
and we
right.
thought, trust me, that ain't going to make a difference. We are going down something really.
I wish you had said, "Trust me, we're using Tommy guns," which didn't come out till 1919.
Yep.
So, but none of us said that because it's not a documentary.
No.
Now, whose idea was it that you guys were going to be the Germans? And was that the plan from the beginning when you thought of the whole song?
No, not when we thought of the song, but I think we sort of, at the same time we were discussing which songs, because I mean, when we wrote the songs, we didn't know which ones are going to be the singles or the
Right.
video tracks. That sort of decided once you're almost done with the album production.
Right.
And we thought it's a bit of a different song, and we thought we had a good time when we did Seven Pillars of Wisdom with you.
Yeah.
And we thought,
Oh, okay, like, good time. We had a good time when we were actually filming. We had a terrible time in Sahara, and you guys almost died in a car wreck. But, happy memories.
Yes, great times.
So, okay, we did better in Serbia.
Yes.
Okay, carry on.
No accidents. And we thought, well, it's a time, to tell the story of Adrian. Yeah. We can't tell that only in World War I, but it is sort of the craziest story. I mean, if it wasn't true, even if it is true, nobody would believe it's true.
I don't think people realize that last line at the end of the video. Frankly, I had enjoyed the war.
Yeah.
He really wrote that.
Yeah.
He was wounded like 8 times in the war, blown up again and again.
And before and after.
And after.
But it was quite liberating, actually, because it's one thing about being a Sabaton. We don't take ourselves serious at all. Right. Usually the stories, but in a sense, I figured if there's one guy in history who can take us goofing around a bit with it.
Carson de Wiart. Adrian Carson de Wiart. I don't know why there's not been like a massive movie made about Carson de Wiart. Well, actually, the movie that I would like to write is actually what was first really brought to my attention with the Sabaton song was The Last Battle.
Aha,
that would be, when you actually have, it's 1945, you have Americans and Germans fighting together. You got my attention. You totally got my attention. So it's
I mean, if anything, I mean, there's a whole gang of freaking video or storylines and stuff like that from all types of different wars throughout all the time that Hollywood can definitely drive on. But for some reason, and I'm not kicking it, but for some reason we're just stuck on certain aspects of certain wars and stuff like that. It's like, man, there's so much more that we can be diving into, and especially when I'm saying everything's so stale now. Like, what I'm saying? But
it's been a long time, long lonely time. See what I did? And I thought, because we haven't actually filmed together in months, and I thought something that you really like. I wanted to end the episode. See. Screaming Eagles. See, I knew I'd get you with that. So.
Oh, for fuck's sake. All right, everyone, that's it for today. And remember to subscribe, but also click that bell so you get a notification when we release some new material. So, until next time, thank you, and see you soon.
Hey guys, we'll go ahead and end it right there. So yeah, I thought I had my big ass headphones on. But yeah, definitely a great side piece or information piece to go with the video that we reacted to already. Definitely really good stuff. Hey, if you guys like the video though, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you guys on another one. Don't forget to join me on another one. I'm out. Say peace out to Winston before I forget. I'm out.